How are you?
Hey, Janice, I'm doing wonderful. What about you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Hope you're doing well. This is Let's Talk Business with Jay
Hey, Janice,
Parks.
I'm doing wonderful. What about you?
Doing great. Doing
Yeah, I'm
great.
so
We're
happy to
having a
be
little bit
here.
of a feedback, I think. Let's Talk Business with Jay Parks. Little bit of a feedback. Let's see if we can get rid of that. Can you see the screen share?
I don't think so. I just see you, if that's.
Okay.
I don't think so. I just see you, if that's.
Okay. Let's see. Let's try that. So we're live, by the way. We're live on YouTube. This is Let's Talk Business with Jay Parks and Miss Erin. And Erin, let me make sure I'm pronounce your last name for me.
Oh, so it's the real pronunciation is Feng, but everyone
Finn,
just says Feng, and that's fine.
Finn, Finn, right?
Feng, yeah.
Fung. Okay.
Oh, so it's the real pronunciation is Feng, but everyone just says Feng, and that's fine.
Finn, right? Okay, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. I'm going to record this and I'm going to take this off of share. I was sharing music and computer sound. Okay. I was hoping you were able to see that. I'm going
Oh,
to
no
record
worries.
this and I'm going to take this off of share. I was sharing music and computer sound. I was hoping you were able to see that. Okay, great. All right, let's see what we got. Okay, so you can see me.
Oh, I can see you. Yeah, no
Okay,
worries.
great. Good. It's been a little bit of a challenging day, but we're here. How about you? How was your day?
Yes, my day has just been super busy. I don't think I've gotten off Zoom since this morning. So because my new student orientation, so the first week of classes or pre-classes started for me for university. So it's been definitely exciting to get to know my fellow classmates and kind of getting a bit of that university environment. But definitely a lot to do, that's for sure.
Gotcha. Um, we're still getting some feedback, and I'm trying to understand why.
Definitely a lot to do, that's for sure. Do you have the YouTube Live opened on another tab?
We're still getting some feedback, and I'm trying to understand why. Let's see.
Do you have the YouTube Live opened on another tab?
Yes.
Oh yeah, like if you close that, then it should be fine because it's the feedback is just coming from the little
Gotcha.
clip for
Got
from
it. Got it. There we go. Sorry
perfect.
about that.
No worries.
So we're interviewing Miss Erin this evening, and we have her on because she is a budding freshman at Wharton University this year, and we wanted to bring Erin on to give us a little bit of a introduction into what her experience has been with NGOs and also with nonprofits up to this point. And so we're very excited to have you. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be going on Facebook as well. But Erin, I just want to thank you so much for agreeing to come on, and so glad to have you. What I'd like to do is for you to tell everyone a little bit about yourself, how you got into what you're doing right now, and what your aspirations are moving forward into the future.
Definitely. So it's honestly a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Janice.
You're
And hi
welcome.
everyone to the viewers. So I'm Erin, as you know. I'm a rising freshman to the Wharton School of Business at the University of Pennsylvania, and I'm really hoping to study in finance and social impact and responsibility there. So that really has to do with kind of the fundamental motivations behind what I do. A lot of the things that I'm doing. So in terms of my NGO work and working for these for-profit social enterprises. So I think it really dates back to grade 10 when I learned about the concept of corporate social responsibility. So I just learned about it in a business intro to business course. And at the time, I'd always been very interested in business. But what really intimidated me about the entire industry was just the dog eat dog kind of world that was happening, or at least a perception of it. So basically, like back then, and especially still a bit now, people have always said whenever I would share my interest in business, they would always say, like, Erin, are you prepared to really put down someone else in order for you to succeed? And being someone who was always quite altruistic and who always wanted to help someone, that was something that really didn't sit right with me. And I thought that would be the end of my interest in business because I didn't want my success to come at the expense of someone else's. So but when I took that intro to business course, sometime in the middle of the year, we learned about CSR. And basically, that unit completely changed my outlook about business. Suddenly, business wasn't just a profit making machine. I learned that there was so much potential in it to also make positive social change in the world. And especially with businesses being, big and powerful, they also have the power to do good. And that was like a fundamental factor that really allowed me to see how I could bridge my interest in both business and the altruistic sense of my personality. So, with that in mind, then in grade 11, I was signed up for an online research co op and I was accepted. So, basically, what this co op did was they paired young students in 11th or 12th grade, and they paired them with a university mentor who would walk them through doing research on, for example, cancer research or anything really related to STEM fields. So in that case, I was pretty a special case because I was really interested in business and CSR. So they took a long time finding me a mentor, but the wait was definitely worth it because in the end, I was able to be paired with their first NGO partnership. So I was paired with the NGO One Child, which is basically an NGO that located in Toronto that advocates against child sex trafficking. And what I had to do for them was basically write what's called a social return on investment report, which calculated how much money we could save from the Canadian economy if we prevented one child from falling victim to child sex trafficking. And this was the first project of its kind that has ever been done on child sex trafficking. And so it was a very big responsibility. But through that experience, I think it completely changed my life working for that NGO because
Wow.
despite all of the work that I had, and even, the topic being one that is very, very hard to deal with most of the time, right? But very mentally taxing. But what really got me through, especially in my deepest, darkest times, was just the thought that what I was creating was going to be something that could benefit someone else in the future. So just knowing that I was contributing to an NGO, to this social cause, and that my work could be done to help benefit the lives of others in the future and save other children, that was my fundamental motivating factor. And from
Wow.
there, I learned that was what I want to do for the future as well. And
Wow.
so now I've taken that passion into what I'm doing right now. I got accepted into Wharton, which I'm super excited about. And over the quarantine too, I really gone out and explored this passion a lot more on my free time. So I'm now interning for a for-profit social enterprise called the RTG Group, which is dedicated to ending hunger in North America. And I'm also writing a book called Everyday Impact, which is going to be published in April of 2021, which I feature Janice in it as well. And which is going to really be talking about kind of how everyone in our society, no matter who you are, no matter where you are, you can still make an impact in your community, and everyone has the ability to do so.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that is just an fascinating journey that you've been on. And I'm sharing this live with a lot of my network online. And I know that the class that I've been teaching on entrepreneurship, um, my students will be very much interested in this because the DOSA model that we have for our nonprofit, Daughters of Zion Arise Inc., um, definitely wants to partner with people like you that have a passion for humanitarianism
Mhm.
and helping someone else. And especially not just in the US, but in other countries as well. So we talked a little bit about before we came on air, was texting back and forth and talking about how what the agenda was going to be about today. And my biggest thing about this show is to really open up areas of topics that you don't normally hear online, especially for young entrepreneurs and people who are maybe still in high school, just going into college. That group between, I'll say, 18 and 35. Uh, I've been had the honor to have people that I've been aligned with that are young millennial entrepreneurs, and they're so eager to learn, different things, to meet different people, to network. So I wanted to ask you, you mentioned a couple of organizations that you have had the opportunity to have relationship with. What has been your biggest takeaway um, from those organizations? What's the biggest thing that you've learned about, especially moving forward, you're going to be branching out into different areas as well. What's the biggest takeaway so far?
Yeah, so I think just from those experiences, especially, is a sense of community that you get and collaboration and support. Because especially when you're trying to do things like changing the world or making an impact, right? Sometimes it can feel a bit isolating. And I feel like having that support system is super important because not only does it motivate you into doing the things that you're doing and validate kind of your own pursuits and your own passions, but through that collaboration, you're able to augment your own impact. So, really bouncing ideas off of one another, creating new projects and creating new things. That's what really will allow you to progress in the future and have that sort of innovation for new ideas. So, I find that like when I was working with those NGOs and those purpose-driven organizations, one of the big things is just how happy I was just doing work for them. Like it didn't seem like a chore at all. Like something I say is I just woke up every day and I just loved what I was doing because it wasn't a chore. Like I was doing what I loved, and everyone in that organization, they basically brought the same positivity, the same drive and enthusiasm to make a difference in others' lives that I really associated myself with. So really being in that community helped to shape my own personality and my own motivations a lot and helped me augment my own impact.
Yes, that's awesome. That is awesome because you know what? The beautiful thing about where you are in your journey is that you can telescope yourself to exactly how you want your journey to be, pretty much. In other words, uh, let's just say if you were 25 years old or 30 years old, you would, and starting out doing this, you wouldn't have such a awesome opportunity to really just kind of lay out exactly what you want to do. And because you love what you do, that's the beautiful thing. You're going to be doing what you love. It's not going to be a job to you. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? It's not going
Exactly.
to be, you're going to go day after day after day. I mean, it's wide open. You can travel, and hopefully, we talked about, you traveling with me maybe to some of the areas that I'm going to be attempting to help do different things. And I mean, it's wide open for you. So basically, pretty much someone, that's in your position and that might be in your same age group. And I say that because I don't think we, even as I think back when I was 18 or 19 years old, that I really understood how important it is to really find something that gives you joy
Mm,
and happiness. You know what I
exactly.
mean? I think that a lot of times we stick people into categories of things for a paycheck.
Mhm.
And not that a paycheck is not, I'm not downplaying the different careers, and I don't say that you shouldn't get an education because that's what you're doing. But the education that you're getting, the type of education that you're getting is going to be helpful, am I right?
Yes,
To what you're going to be doing in the future.
exactly.
So for those that are going to be watching this later, uh, how would you advise them if they're a freshman in college or even a sophomore or even in high school, last year of high school, and they're wanting to get into what you're doing? What type of classes, what type of experiences would you suggest that they expose themselves to?
Definitely. So, just going first from high school, I would definitely say one of my biggest kind of regrets, I would say, of high school is kind of how much like time I put into my academics. And although like I am a firm believer that you do have to study hard and get those grades in order to get into the universities that you would like to have for those future opportunities, but also I would also like to emphasize how perfectionism can definitely be a detriment.
Mm,
um, and although I was still able to manage my time, I think that I probably would have spent a lot less time just nitpicking over, get trying to get that perfect 100 or trying to get those perfect grades, and rather even going out and even experiencing more and more opportunities. Because I find that really what allowed me to grow and kind of what got me to where I am now are the extracurriculars that I went through, whether that was debating, which helped me really gain my speaking abilities and negotiation skills and a lot of interpersonal skills. Key Club, which is a service organization I was also a part of in high school, and
okay,
also
let me interrupt you right there.
yeah, of
When you
course.
say, what for the folks that are watching and for myself, what is Key Club?
Yeah, so Key Club is stands for Kiwanis Educated Youth, and I think it's one of the biggest or like service-based organizations for high schools across Canada. So definitely there were a lot of key clubs around my region. So there was one in my school as well, and I got involved with it right from grade 9, and I went through with it all until grade 12 when I became the executive secretary. So I would definitely say really getting involved with those extracurricular organizations and opportunities are what will really allow you to help explore different passions. And at the same time, though, on the academics route, I would also really suggest branching out and trying out new things. So, taking that business course or taking the sciences and really seeing kind of what you're interested in. So, my online research co op as well was actually a more niche course that wasn't offered to everyone. It was something that I actually had to go to my a guidance counselor to ask about. So I would definitely say try to reach out to all of the resources around you and see which places that you can really assert yourself in. And even going into university, I find that a lot of these advice kind of still stays, and especially in university, if there's one thing I've learned just from every upperclassman I've talked to, is that grades is not everything. Really, what you're going to university for are for the opportunities, are for the networks and the organizations. And if you're only going to study, then you might not go. That's the main advice that many people have told me. And I totally agree with that. At university, you'll just find so many people who are like-minded, who have the same ambitions, and really, there's just a ton more organizations and opportunities during university. So I know the University of Pennsylvania, they have over 600, I think, student organizations. So there's something for everyone. And if there isn't something for you, then you can make it. So I would say university is the time to really go outside of your comfort zone, to really establish yourself and to start new things, because there's really no consequence if you fail. University again is a time of exploration, and I would wholly suggest any student, any uni student, high school student, to keep that in mind always.
Well, I mean, that's just priceless. The information that you've given. A lot of times, young people don't have the ability to. But with Google now, you can research and find out these things. But it really is helpful for someone like you. And excuse me, allergies. I'm so sorry.
No.
But for the average student, to be able to know how to go out and navigate research about what they really want to do. They need, and that's why, counselors are so important. You know
Mm,
what I mean? To have a teacher and a counselor that can really see the potential in a student and then help them to go out. I used to had the privilege of working with a government project called ONET. Have you ever heard of ONET?
I haven't.
ONET. capital O, capital N, capital ET, ONET. And it was an occupational network that the government has that they sponsor. It's government funded. And what ONET is a huge database where you can go out and look at all kinds of occupations from every genre. And it will list under those occupations, of the type of research that you need to find out how to go about preparing yourself for that particular occupation. Whether it's nonprofit or for profit.
Mm-hmm.
So I've told a lot of people about it, and I used to have to call people who were CEOs, head of different corporations and companies, to get them to allow us to send surveys to their employees. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so you had to be able to get through the gatekeeper, right? And that would be that person that, you would call, let's say that they were the executive assistant or the executive secretary, and they would be the ones that would help you get through or not. Okay. So I think knowing how to present yourself and research and having people help you is a big, big thing. And that's why I want to bring people on that can give people ideas, that can maybe help them get to that point where they can research certain things. And a lot of my audience, not all, but a lot, are, on the continent of Africa. Mm-hmm. And if they're not in a huge city like Nairobi or Johannesburg or one of the bigger cities, it's very difficult, for them to pursue something like this unless they get into missions, or something like that. So it's very helpful. Facebook has been very beneficial because I can communicate with people that way, give them different suggestions how they can go about doing it in their country. Mm-hmm. So this is awesome because, even if let's say someone may not want to go, NGOs are really big. NGOs are huge. A lot of people don't understand. There are many, many, many different kinds of NGOs.
Exactly. Exactly.
And they have all kinds of support. Now things have slowed down a little bit, but I would venture to say, the other thing is too, Aaron, there's some other information about, how to go about getting funding, how to get your donor list set up. I would think that you've been learning about that as well.
Yeah, so for me, I'm definitely thinking of doing my own entrepreneurial venture, and I have been doing a bit of research, but unfortunately, I haven't done anything, too substantial as of yet. I haven't started an organization myself. For me, kind of the entrepreneurial route that I took is in writing this book. So the book that I'm writing actually, it's not like the traditional publishing with a traditional publisher like the New York Times. It's really taking an entrepreneurial route in publishing. So I'm doing a lot of these things myself. But at the same time, I'm getting help through the developmental process, and really learning along the way. So I find that like these sorts of ventures, they are still entrepreneurship in their own way, and that you're still creating something yourself. And at the end, something that can help to impact other people. And that's something I'm really trying to do as well. But I would also say for those people, who do want to research about entrepreneurship, there's just so many resources online as well. And definitely, some of the like websites that I've been going on is like the official website like from the government of Canada that really teaches you how to go about the process of getting your certification as a charity from the government through like the Canada Revenue Agency and everything like that. And also another amazing resource I would say is really going out and talking with the entrepreneurs in your region or in your
Mhm.
community. Because I think it's definitely through talking with someone else and learning from their own experiences that can sometimes even be even more impactful than just reading it online. Because now you know that it works, right? You have a mentor who you can fall back on, and you can see that this person, has created change.
Mhm.
And I would say it's just so much more personal and a lot more impactful and memorable in that way. And it's changed my life just talking with entrepreneurs like you, Janice. So I would definitely recommend anyone to really network and go outside of themselves and really just you make use of the community and the resources around them.
That's excellent. That is excellent. Um, so with everything that we've talked about, um, I wanted to also come back and talk about what your experience has been with your first, this is your first week of school, right?
Yes, basically.
So, and is this just orientation week?
Yeah, this is more of orientation. So, really getting you used to the university environment and giving you a lot of like webinars and things just to tell you more about it.
So let me ask you this question. How did you choose Wharton?
Yeah, so I think this was near the end of grade 11 and near the beginning of my grade 12, like summer kind of, grade 12 year. My fundamental goal, actually, this dates back to when I was like 8 years old. I'd always actually made it my goal to go to an Ivy League university. It's been a reoccurring kind of little joke of mine because as a kid, being from an Asian parent household, both my Chinese parents, they really wanted me to go to a great university in the future. And, when I was 8 years old, I was like, Dad, what's the best university in the world? And my dad's like, Harvard. And I was like, all right, I'm going there. Um, and this it kind of stuck with me. So I would say like just having that goal as a kid and then moving forward, like I always knew I wanted to work hard because I wanted to reach, I had great aspirations for the future. So it kind of motivated me. But then soon after, especially during grade 11 and 12th year, I realized that, recognition isn't everything. So rather than really like I applied for Harvard, like, just to kind of fulfill that childhood dream of mine and just for the fun of it almost. But really what I did during, at the end of grade 11th year was look at universities that had this niche, like that would allow me to pursue this niche interest of mine in social impact, because although us Gen Z generation are becoming more aware of it, at the same time there aren't many educational opportunities about it. So in universities in Canada, there were some universities like I think Queen's University offered like a certification in social impact, but really nothing too substantial or nothing that really piqued my interest immediately. But then, so when I was doing a research online, I came across the University of Pennsylvania and specifically Wharton, the Wharton School of Business, and I realized there, they have an entire program dedicated to social impact initiatives. They have a concentration, basically a stream that you can take in social impact and responsibility. And with that, like I knew that that was exactly the place I wanted to go. So doing more research, I realized that the values of the school, which was basically being a civic Ivy, so really dedicated on service and civic organizations and advocacy, I feel like that completely resonated with me. And so with that, that's where I knew that was my dream university, and I'm just still riding the high of getting in. It's just been a dream come true.
Wow, that is wonderful. That is so wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know. I don't. I'm trying to, you know, see what other questions I can ask you about some of the things that you've been exposed to. And I think it's awesome that at 8 years old, you realized that what you wanted to do and you sought after that and you asked questions. I think that's very important for anybody to do, is to ask questions and to be able to, once you do get an answer, go out and figure out how you can go about accomplishing that goal.
Exactly.
So I really admired that at 8 years old. You knew exactly what you wanted to do.
Thank you, Janice. And actually, I would have to say too, that really relates to a lot of advocate work and a lot of the work that I did, outside of school as well. So, like you said, really going out of your way to ask questions and to find these opportunities yourself, because many of the times, the opportunities that I came across, they weren't anything brought to me on a silver platter. Like I had to really go out of my way to find them myself. And that kind of relates back to another tip that I would have for university students or for high school students, which is really going outside of the school. So not only engaging in extracurriculars within your school, like, the normal clubs and organizations, but also doing community service, becoming an active member of your community. So something that I did was really going out. So, in Ontario, we do have the mandatory 40 hours of community service that you need to graduate. But I think I graduated with over 400 hours of community
Wow.
service. Yeah, and one of the main, like, I had just the best experiences from there. And one of the main things that I would recommend and how I came across them was really going out of my way to ask, like, which organizations might have needed help. So one of the volunteer opportunities I'll never forget is that I think it was in the beginning of 2019, I asked my local retirement home if they needed any help. Because usually, like, when we do think about community service, we think about retirement homes. But not only that, when they did say that they needed help, I went through, like, the application process. But rather than just kind of helping out at their normal, visitation, so sitting in with a member once in a while, talking with the elders there, I was actually transferred to their dementia ward. And what
Oh,
I did for them there was I actually used my background in music. So I've been playing piano for over 10 years, and I actually served as a pianist, the volunteer pianist for the residents at the dementia ward. And it's those opportunities that are really unforgettable, because, like, when I was there, just playing one of those songs and seeing the elders really interact in a way that I never thought was possible for dementia ward patients, especially with the stigma around them. It was
right.
life changing, and it really helped me, which actually drew me into then pursuing a volunteer opportunity with the Alzheimer's Society of Niagara. And then from there, I was able to help with them in a volunteering event that actually raised over $130,000 for um,
Wow.
Alzheimer's research. Yeah. So again, it really, you can see how it's just in doing that simple task of just asking your community if they need help and seeing where you can apply yourself. And from there, just doors will open up. It'll, like, trickle in almost naturally. So it's really, I think the hardest part is really taking that first step. But then right afterwards, you'll find that everything just kind of comes to you. It's almost like the law of attraction, I would say. So
Oh, yes.
it's definitely taking that first step.
I believe that. So now let me get this straight. So you actually worked with the board of it was an Alzheimer's organization, and you all did a fundraiser,
Yeah, or I just served as a volunteer in that fundraiser. Mhm.
and they raised $130,000 for that community.
Yeah, so it's their annual Walk for Alzheimer's.
Oh,
It's called the Walk for Alzheimer's event, and I served as a volunteer there. And at the very end, they announced that they had raised over $130,000 for Alzheimer's research, and it was just amazing to hear. Absolutely amazing.
wow.
Mhm.
Wow. So they probably had a lot of people doing walking, but they pledged a certain amount of money for that cause. Did you all have like a banquet, or did you have that you sold tickets for, or something like that?
Yeah, so the walk itself, I think the walk was free in itself, but what we did was we had a ton of vendors around as well.
Okay.
So a lot of organizations came in, local bakeries that just kind of, like, like served food for everyone. And there was also, like, raffles and everything. And so basically a really fun and exciting event. And just the sense of collaboration, and again, and the support in that community was amazing. Like seeing all kinds of people, young, old, male, female, all of these different people coming together and walking for a family member, a loved one, a friend who was suffering from dementia or suffering from Alzheimer's. Was just empowering to see how basically this one cause really united all of these different people. And it again just shows how powerful collaboration support can be.
Oh, yes, I am a proponent of collaboration. So the vendors that participated in that particular event, they bought a booth area, or an area that they could actually sell their goods at that particular event.
Yeah,
Uh,
and
And
share more information about their like about their company or organization. Mhm.
right. So whatever they sold as a vendor, did the organization get a percentage of that, or they just made the money off of what they offered that spot for? In other words, they had a table area or a spot for the vendors that was like, say, for it might have been, I don't know, $50 or $100 for the spot. And that was the contribution that went into the organization. How did that work for them?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not exactly too sure about those specifics, Janice, so I can't really speak about that. Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. I'm not
Oh,
really too
that's
sure about
okay.
how those
Oh, that's
specifics work.
okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
You were volunteering. But so, and I'm sure you'll get more into that as you get more into what you're going to be doing as well. You'll be able to know the different ins and outs about how fundraising works, what you can do, get ideas about fundraising, because fundraisings for nonprofits are very important,
Hmm.
you
Definitely.
know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it really goes to show although I do have a lot of experience, working with NGOs, working with purpose-driven organizations at the same time, I am still young and there's a lot for me to learn still. And that's kind of what I'm really excited for, especially going to university. Just the wealth of opportunities and the learning opportunities is going to be amazing. And so, I'm just an avid learner. I'm a big student, I would say. Like the student part of my identity is very strong, so I just cannot wait to really learn more about this industry and how I can really help more.
Yes. Now we have a few more minutes. I want to really bring out this topic, go kind of back to the one child,
Hmm.
because that is a huge issue all over the world. And I want to know if you actually had the opportunity to go out to any of the safe houses or witness how they actually operate doing what they do. And I assume now I'm assuming that it was just in Canada, or did you get to travel outside of Canada as well?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I don't think wasn't able to travel
Because you
outside.
were young, young.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was very young,
underage.
and also at the same time, there would like if I wanted to go with them as a research assistant, there would have to be a lot of forms because I was still in school and they kind of knew me. Like their association with me was from the online research co-op, so there would have been like a lot of kind of forms and stuff to do and a lot of logistics behind that. But I do know I'm pretty familiar with some of their services, so I know that they do have homes for children who like safe homes for these children in like the Philippines and a lot of those countries, but also a lot of the work that they do for advocacy in Canada is really just to show, just to kind of promote or just to make people aware about the issue, especially in more developed societies like ours. So because we think that child sex trafficking is something that only occurs in like the poverty ridden areas or only in third world developing countries, but that's so not true. If anything, too, living in Niagara Falls, which is right on the border, our city especially is pretty prevalent to child sex trafficking as well. Like human trafficking is not something unheard of in our region, although many people might believe it to be. Some like this is a crime that can affect anyone, that doesn't discriminate, and that can be in any neighborhood basically, even in your own backyard. And
Oh,
that
I
was
know.
one of the main things that I tried to do for them as well. Just serving also as their student representative is to advocate, to tell people about how we can prevent against it, the proper prevention, and to make people more aware of this issue.
Awesome. That is so awesome. Now, one more thing, you talked about playing the piano.
Yes.
Wow. Now, see, that was something I didn't know about you. So, are you classically trained?
I would say like so I've taken lessons for around 9 years, 8 or 9 years, I would say. And then I stopped a bit like in the begin or I stopped a bit in grade 11 just because I was like too busy with a lot of other things, but I still continuing to play piano just on my free time. So, using my piano skills in other organizations or using like still always keeping that skill with me and using it as a way to help others. So really one of the main things I loved about piano was just playing for my parents, like seeing them, close their eyes and swaying to the music. Playing for other people was one of the main reasons why I love piano so much. So with that in mind, like I played, for the dementia ward. I also played for my local soup kitchen for a month when my key club was volunteering there. And they always said it was basically like it brightened up their day. It just brought a whole new atmosphere to dinner for them. And even those small things, it can make a big difference on other people, and that's something that I really find is super impactful, and I'm very proud to know that skill, that's for sure.
So you have a piano in your home.
Yes, a baby grand actually. I'm
That
very,
is
very proud of
awesome.
it.
That
Mhm.
is awesome. We'll have to talk about that off camera. I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about that.
Of course.
So listen, we are really, really early. Generally, I carve out about an hour, but however, I think that we have covered just about every topic we can cover for right now, anyway. And so I know that you are still in orientation, so I don't want to hold you too long. But listen, I have enjoyed having you, and I'm sure the conversation will benefit a lot of people, especially those who are thinking about going into civic service, social impact, or any one of these topics that might fall under that: community service, nonprofit, humanitarian, uh, you know, uh, you know, organizing a humanitarian entity, whether it be an incorporation or what it might be. So listen, I really thank you for coming on, and we will talk again. Of course, we are always in contact with one another. We'll do some other things as well. So listen, Erin, thank you so much. Have a great evening, and just enjoy your week of orientation.
Thank you so much, Janice. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you again, and I wish you only the best. Let's keep in touch.
We will. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Have a great week,
You
Janice.
too.